Happy Monday, everyone. Carmen Broxma here with Choose Joy with Carmen. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Arvada, Colorado, and back again for another episode of my Mojoy Monday. If you've been watching for the last couple of weeks, you'll know that I kind of hijacked these Mondays to focus on things that I am making for the craft fair. And because of that, I most likely will be using products that are no longer available to purchase. But the process can be adjusted with whatever products you have on hand. So today we're doing another hand sanitizer holder, and I wanted to do this one here that is called Snowy Peach Berry. And the colors are kind of, the light purples and pinks and stuff like that. So what I decided to do was use the paper from the retired Whimsy and Wonder Specialty Designer Series paper. And we are going to be using this paper primarily. Now, this paper calls for Blushing Bride, Crumb Cake. This is the Blushing Bride. There's the Crumb Cake. Mint Macaron, which is the green. And Misty Moonlight, which is the blue. And Mossy Meadow is the darker green. And the Polished Pink, which is this kind of bright pink. But again, as you've been watching with me, I like to try to match what the hand sanitizer looks like. So I chose to go with Fresh Freesia for my box today, or my holder. And I think it still matches very nicely with this paper. Plus, it matches very nicely with the hand sanitizer. I really like this combination here, so that's why I chose that. And again, as you've been watching and know how I like to create, I always try to match what the front of the picture is here. So I have chosen this, basically just the tree die that comes in this, that was part of this bundle. So I am using this larger tree right here, using that as my die cut. And I'm going to be die cutting that out from the back of the paper that we're using for the front. So there's the front and this is the back. And what I really like about it is it's kind of got that, those little polished pink little dots in there. And if you look at the hand sanitizer, the little tree has little dots in it too. So that was perfect. So then I went on a hunt for what am I going to do to continue to try to match this. So I found this Alpine Adventure, and it has this little present and this little present. And check this out. Look at that little present there. And then look at the present right there in that little corner. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to try to get in close. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. But there's a little present there with little dots on it. And this also has little dots. So I says, this is perfect. Now this doesn't have a die to go with it. This one here does. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that and die cut it out. And I'm just going to try to create a little scenery like that's on this hand sanitizer for my box. And then I needed a little sentiment. And so I pulled out this Tidings All Around, and I'm going to be using this Be Merry. So I think that is the majority of the products that I'm using for today. Oh, I'm also going to be using, Stampin' Up! Used to have the, what did they call it? The envelope punch, or I don't remember the exact name of it, but we're going to be using that. And I know you can't get that anymore, but I will go out on Amazon and see what they have available out there, and I will get a link for one that's out there that's pretty similar that you could purchase and buy. And I do have affiliate links, so if you do decide to purchase um, the one that I've selected, then it helps me out a little bit. I mean, I'm going to say a very little bit because um, I've not seen any money for anything that anybody has purchased. So I think you have to have quite a lot of sales on that. So, but it's just, it'll help build, I guess. So let's go ahead and set this stuff aside and we will get started with our project for today. Okay, so this is the retired envelope punch board that I was talking about, and I will go ahead and find one similar on Amazon and post that link, that affiliate link in the description below if you're interested in purchasing one. So I'm going to have all the dimensions on my blog as usual, but I'm not sure that it's going to be today because I got behind on creating this video because I had a couple of events this weekend that kind of took my time away from what I needed to be doing here. But one was a birthday party for a 9-year-old and one was a wedding shower, so I felt like I needed to make myself present in those events. And so I got a little behind. So I'm not so sure that my blog post will get updated today. And I'm hoping that this video will get uploaded before the end of the day. If not, it'll roll over into Tuesday and it'll just be the way it has to be. But we're going to start off with the 4.5 by 4.5 piece of fresh freesia. And if you've ever used, and I just got to say, just a little interruption here. Check out my shirt. It kind of matches. I didn't plan that. It just happened to be that way. I thought that was interesting. Anyway, we're going to take that left edge and we're going to line it up at 1.5. We're going to push it up against this line here so that it's flush. And then we're going to line up this left edge to 1.5. And while it's there, we're going to punch it and score. And you put your, you take your tool and you just kind of, lay it up against this side here. And then when you pull it down, there's this scoring groove. And then you just run your tool down that way. Then we're going to move it over to 2 3/4. And we're going to punch and score again. And we're going to do that. We're going to rotate it counterclockwise, and we're going to do that on 3 sides. The last side is going to look a little different. But this time, instead of lining it up on our ruler, we're going to line up this point right here with that first score line. And while it's there, we go ahead, when it's right on top of that score line, we punch it, and then we score it again. Oops. Kind of went off the track there. And then we're going to move it down, lay that point right over that score line, punch it, and score. So I'm going to do that on that last one, and then we will come back and I'll show you what the last side looks like. Okay, I'm rotating it counterclockwise again, lining that point up on that score line, and we are going to punch it, but no scoring this time. Then we're going to move it down to that next score line, and we're going to punch it and score. So then that way you're going to have something that looks like this, and hopefully you can see those score lines. And we are going to be taking off this one right here, this last one here, so that it's flush. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer, and I'm going to cut that off right on the score line so that it's flush and make that flush there. And then we'll be back to finish this box. Okay, so I brought in my paper trimmer and I just cut off that piece right there, so that makes that flush right there on that edge. Now we're going to fold and burnish on all the score lines, and then we will come back and continue on. Okay, so now we have all that burnished very nicely, and now we're going to come in with our paper snips, and we're going to create these two little corners right here into little tabs. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to cut up on that, well, just on the left side of this score line and the right side of this score line, because we want to get that score line out of there. And we're just going to cut right up until that first score line, and then we will have these little tabs. Okay, and then I just kind of want to do some miter cutting right on this edge to get rid of that score line and that little tip right there. Okay, so this is what the piece looks like once we've got it all cut and scored and all that good stuff. So now what we're going to do is we are going to, this is going to be basically our bottom, all these pieces here, and then because we're going to put the hand sanitizer in from the top. So I'm going to go ahead and on this point here on the left, I'm going to fold it over on the first score line, and then on this side I'm going to fold it over on the second score line. And this is how we're going to adhere it. So we need to bring in some liquid glue, and we're going to put some liquid glue on this point right here on this side, and then on this point right here. And I'm just doing it on the points because that should be enough to hold it over. Again, this is folded over on the first score line. We're going to fold this over on the second score line, and then we're going to push that down. And there we go. That is going to be the beginning of our holder here. So now on the bottom side, we're going to go ahead and put some adhesive on these two flaps right here. A little bit there, a little bit on this other side. And then we're going to, don't do what I did on one of them. Don't put it on this side. You're going to be putting it on the back side, on the tip as well, because that's going to go inside the box. So now with these two little flaps here with liquid glue and the back side of this, we're going to kind of just squeeze it a little so that we have a little way to get this fed right in, because we're going to start to now close the box. And once you get that in there like that and you push it down, those two little flaps that had glue are going to stick here. And then on the inside, I don't know if you can see that, probably not, but that little point is in there. So we're going to go ahead and push that down with our finger. And then this is a chance where you could bring in your hand sanitizer and put it in there so that it kind of gives you that sturdiness as we continue to decorate the box. So now we're going to take the designer paper that we've chosen here, and what I do is I like to start from the back because I've kind of figured out where to start lining it up so that when I pull it back around that my seam is going to be close to the middle that I can. So I'm going to kind of start it with about that much. I don't know how much that is, maybe 1/4 of an inch maybe. And then I'm going to start wrapping it. And as I wrap it, I'm going to kind of crease where the corners are. And then I'll continue to do that all the way around. And that'll kind of give me a guide to where I need to burnish those corners. And then I'll do that around and see. Then it kind of like gets you pretty close that seam to the middle. That's why I like to start off like that. So then once you have that, you can go ahead and take your bone folder and burnish on those kind of hand creased areas. And you'll be able to, and I just kind of line up that my edges are even, and then I kind of just burnish it. And go do that on all 4 sides. And then we're going to go ahead and put some tear and tape on the inside here on these edges. So let me grab my tear and tape. I just had it here. Now what did I do with it? I'm telling you, I am not having a good day. I've had to like stop and start this video and do it again and again because either the phone wasn't working, and then I found out that something wasn't recording my voice, and then so it's like, oh my gosh, talk about a challenge today. So I'm just going to put some tear and tape on the edges here, and then before you take that tear and tape off, we're going to go ahead and make sure which side we want to put down first. So based on the way you see, like if I would have put, that down first, that wasn't going to line up the way I had intended. So I want to put this down first. So I'm going to go ahead and take that backing off. And that's the one, if I'm going to, do it that way so that I can get it as close as I can to the center when it comes wrapped around. So now I'm going to just get that lined up, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere that there, and then I'm going to bring it around, and I'm going to take the backing off of my tear and tape here, and then I'm going to try to line that up the best that I can with the top and bottom and put that down. So that's pretty close. My seam's right there, so I think that's pretty close to the middle. So there we've got that part on. So now let me show you what I did for my decorating. So I took a piece of scrap basic white and I stamped in Mossy Meadow the Be Merry. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to kind of clean this up because I need it to be small. So what I did is I just took my paper snips and I got as close to the words as I could on both the top and the bottom. And then I went ahead and angle cut it on both sides. So then we'll have something that looks like that. Upside down for you, but something like that. Then I went ahead and I got a strip of the fresh freesia and I went ahead and glued that down like I did there. And then now all I need to do is follow that same little, adding a little border there at an angle. And this little strip was probably just a little over a 1/4 inch. So then you have something like that. So that's going to be our sentiment. And then I took on another piece of scrap and I took that present and I stamped it with fresh freesia on basic white. And then there's no die for this, so I just kind of used my paper snips and did a little border around that. And then I stamped the other present in the polished pink. And then I did use the die cut on that, and I die cut that out. So now we have our other little present. And then, like I showed you on the back of this designer paper, is this pretty design. So I took that die that had the 3 trees that I showed you earlier, and I just placed my designer paper over the larger tree, and I die cut me out this tree because see, we're trying to match the front the way this looks. So there's a tree and some presents, and so that's my madness there. So then I'm going to go ahead and just show you what the final is. I'm not going to do that here, but this is what it looks like. And I ended up taking this fresh freesia present and I glued it flat down, and I glued the tree flat down. I did a Stampin' Dimensional on the back of the polished pink present, and then I did the Stampin' Dimensionals that come in strips, and I put that on the back of my Be Merry. And those are a little thicker than your regular Stampin' Dimensional, so that really pops up more. So there you have it. There is the container that's going to hold this Snowy Peach Berry hand sanitizer. So I need to make the rest of them, so I'll have a total of 10 for my upcoming craft fair. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that. And these things really sell really good at craft fair, so that's why I'm focusing a lot on them. And I try to pick them up when they're like, when they have their sales at Bath and Body Works. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. And if you're new to my channel and you would like to know when I upload videos, you can subscribe to my channel and then hit that bell icon, and that'll notify you whenever I upload videos. All right, well, you guys all have a great week. Hope you have fun crafting. I will be finishing up these for the craft fair and then deciding what my next project's going to be. So we will see you again next Monday for another episode of my Mojoy Monday, and see what I'm going to be making for the craft fair then. Okay, talk to you all later. Bye-bye.